Hi you guys, how you doing? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Maaru. For those of you who are new, it's nice to have you. Thank you for choosing to be here. Today we are going to be looking at a product review, and the product we're looking at is the new Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I am freaking excited. It's a beautiful palette and I love Natasha Denona. So if you are just as excited as me and you want to see what I do with the palette and what my thoughts are on the palette, stick around, grab a drink, and let's go. Today we are going to be testing out the new Natasha Denona Bronze palette. I would be lying if I told you that I haven't opened it. I have, and I have done a few arm swatches. I just couldn't resist myself. But however, I haven't actually tried this out on my eyes. I haven't tested it to see how it performs on the eyes with a glitter primer or without a glitter primer. I did share some of the arm swatches on my Instagram stories, but it does not equate to a full review. And I also will be going into some of the other palettes that she has released and compare some of the shades in the bronze palette. Sadly, I can't find my gold Natasha Denona palette. I don't know where it is, but I have two others that I am going to be comparing it to. So if this sounds like the type of video you're into and you're thinking about buying the bronze palette and you're not sure, keep watching. You're at the right place. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is pretend I'm opening this on camera for the first time. No, I'm kidding. I've opened it, like I said. Packaging, solid, bronze cardboard packaging, nothing special. You've got the names at the back. The size of this palette is actually very similar to that of the Sunrise palette that she released, and also the Love palette. I don't have the Love palette. The palette itself looks like this. So pretty. It's a shame about the fingerprints on there, sorry. It's really, really stunning packaging. Classic bronze packaging, and you've got the name of the palette. If you compare it to her other previous similar sized palette, it's basically the same. And just like this one, you have these holes at the back where you can actually pop the shades out and put them into a Z palette if you want to, especially those makeup artists that are wanting a few of the shades out and use them for your bridal gigs. I don't know, but it's very useful. The palette itself looks like this. Wowie. It is beautiful. At first sight, I did wonder if some of the shades in here were the same as the ones in the Metropolis palette. Not so much the gold palette, but definitely I compared it to the Metropolis palette and even the Bieber palette in my head the moment I saw it. So let's put this palette into test. I'm going to be creating, to match my bronze sweater, I'm going to be creating a bronze look. But before that, let's swatch these shades on my arm in front of the camera. So that here is the first top row. I love this duochrome shade, it's beautiful. So that is the second row. Please excuse the hairy arms. And that is the very last row of the palette. My first impression is that I really like this palette, and I don't think that she has curated any other palette that is similar to this one. And even the colors, now that I've swatched them, I think they're definitely different to the other ones that she has done in the past. I do like the color story in this palette, and I think this is a very versatile palette. I think it's going to benefit people of different skin tones, different occasions, and I definitely think it's something that everybody should have in their kit, especially if you're into high-end makeup. It's definitely worth the money. All of this, my first impression. The palette retails for $65 US and 125 New Zealand dollars, 127 New Zealand dollars at Sephora, and it is a bit of an investment, I will agree. However, if you have not purchased or invested in Natasha Denona palettes, I do think that this is a great palette to invest in, especially as your first palette, because it is a bronze palette. You will use it for many occasions, for multiple users, from everyday looks to very high glam look. So I do think that it is worth diving into, especially if you are getting into luxury makeup, high-end makeup. Having said that, it is a bit of an investment and you don't have to get it. One of the best things about Natasha Denona palettes is the way that she does her metallic shades. They are very unique. They are different to Pat McGrath metallic shadows, the glittery ones, but Natasha Denona, her glittery shadows, especially this foil bronze one and a couple of others, they are exceptional quality and I really do enjoy them. On the packaging, she actually has details of the different types of finishes and things, so just to save time, you can go on the website I'm going to link below in the description box and read a bit more on the different types of finishes and formulas that she has. Before we start, I'd like to disclose the fact that I am going to be testing this palette with one eye with the e.l.f. glitter primer, and then the other eye was just a regular eyeshadow primer. The one I used is the Crayolant one, which both of them I have been really enjoying recently. So that you get an idea of how it performs with the glitter primer if you need it, and how it performs just on a regular primer. Now, the reason I'm not doing it on bare eyelids is I highly recommend not using this palette on bare eyelids. I highly recommend you using an eyeshadow base of some sort for this shadow, just because you've invested all this money. You might as well just make the best use out of it and do proper application of the palette and the shadows. Let's get started. I am going to be keeping to a very simple makeup look. I am going to be diving into this shade. So that shade is called Suntan. It is a warm burnt orange / brown color. And I'm going to be going in. Her shadows are fairly pigmented, so just go light-handed and just take your time blending. So once you place the color, start swirling. And then gently just buff that color all over so that it's well blended. Anyway, I feel like I could keep going, but I just love blending in shadows so much, but I should probably stop. And then I am going to go in with a smaller brush and I'm going to dip into that cream to powder formula. That is one of my favorite formulas by Natasha Denona. She does it so well. It's basically, it feels like a cream. When you dip into it and you apply, it turns into a powder. It's like magic. It's not magic. It's really good formulation. I just wish I knew how to formulate these. So I'm going to grab that cream to powder shade, Deep Dive. It's a deep burgundy / brown shade, and I'm going to put it on either side of my eye. And then I'm now going to go into the glittery shade. I'm going to go into Alloy, which is kind of like the centerpiece of this palette, if you like. It's this shade, and it is a vibrant bronze with gold reflex. I feel that photos and videos that you see online does no justice to this palette. You just need to see it in person. Trust me. Let's go into Alloy, that bronze. I'm going to go in with a small flat flat brush to pack my eyeshadow in. God, I'm not talking today. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to draw a winged liner. This could end badly, but I'm going to create a wing, a thin wing, using that deep dive, which is a cream to powder formula. Hi guys, I'm back with my final thoughts on this palette. I've got the rest of my makeup on and I thought I'll just hop on here quickly and tell you what I think. Final thoughts in a nutshell, I freaking love this palette. It's no surprise, I am a Natasha Denona junkie. I do collect her palettes and I love this one, and I think in a general sense, I think this is a great palette to get into, especially if you are exploring or getting into luxury makeup or even exploring Natasha Denona as a brand. I think this is a great palette to get into because it is a versatile palette. It is a wearable palette. You can create very natural everyday look as well as, you know, extreme glam looks. So therefore I do think it's worth the money, especially if you're thinking of diving into Natasha Denona as a brand. And I also want to compare this palette to two of her previous palettes, the first one being the Metropolis palette. I did compare shade to shade all the warm tones in the Metropolis palette. And I compared the warm shades, the matte shades and also the metallic shades. I compared them to all the shades in the bronze palette, and I can confirm that there are no shades that are exactly the same. They're all different. Are they similar? Yes, they are. They're very similar, but they're not the same. The undertone, the finishes, something is different in every shade. So therefore, they're not exactly the same. There's no repetition of shades. However, they're definitely similar shades. As for the Bieber palette, they're very different, and I wouldn't say they're similar shades. I actually thought the mattes might be quite similar. However, the mattes are not similar. The mattes on here, they lean more on a little bit on the cooler side compared to the bronze palette mattes. And as for the metallics on the Bieber palette, they're definitely different. Now that proposes the next point I'm going to talk about, and that is if you are on a budget but you are a Natasha Denona junkie and you own the Metropolis palette and you're thinking whether you should get the bronze palette, I highly recommend that you rethink about that decision, especially if you're on a budget. While the shades are not exactly the same, you can create very similar looks using the Metropolis palette. I think this is an awesome palette. It's more versatile than the bronze palette. So if you have this and you want to save money and you're wondering if you should get the bronze one, I don't think you need it. If you have this, you can create similar looks. However, if you're looking to complete the collection or you're just getting into Natasha Denona palettes, the bronze palette is a really good one. Now the next point is price and value for money. Typically when a brand produces a smaller size product, usually the value for money in terms of quantity and quality of the product is compromised. And what that means is, for example, if you look at, you know, Coke bottles, if you look at the price you pay for a medium-sized Coke that you get off, you know, from your fuel station compared to the baby mini-sized one, the value for money on the little ones are terrible. They're not that great at all. And the reason being, it is actually way more costly to manufacture smaller packaging and still at the same quality of product and all of that. In the end, ends up being terrible value for money. In general, that is what happens. Except in this case, Natasha Denona, I don't know how she managed to do it, but she has managed to maintain the same value for money in terms of quality and quantity for her eyeshadow palette, which is a smaller size. The amount of product in the larger palettes that she used to do is exactly double the amount that she has released in the newer, smaller sizes. This is great news because if you are thinking whether it's worth getting this versus saving up and getting a larger size, you don't have to worry because you're getting exactly the same value for money. So well done, Natasha Denona. I don't know how you managed to do it, but I am very impressed and congratulations to you. And last but not least, in terms of color story and whether it suits, whether it's inclusive to all skin tones, I think most skin tones will make this work. This will work on most of the skin tones. However, bear in mind that in terms of brow bone highlight and inner corner highlight, even face highlighting, if you are someone who looks for that kind of feature, that kind of shadow in a palette to complete the look, this might not be for you, especially if you are from medium to lighter skin tone. The reason is even I, who leans on more on the deeper skin side, I struggle to find a brow bone highlight on this. The glitters are too chunky to highlight. You just need like a plain creamy metallic shadow. I know they're boring, but I feel like you got to have them just so that you can highlight areas, and it just completes the palette and the look. I feel it's a personal preference of mine, and if you're the same, that's something that you might want to think about. But I definitely think that this color story will work on a majority of skin tones. Just bear in mind about the highlighting that I just mentioned. So overall, this is Maaru approved. It really is. The only thing, again, I would like to remind you is to think about your purchasing choices and really evaluate whether you need it or not. If you have the other ones, you might not need it, I don't know. But I bought this because I love Natasha Denona as a brand, and I do collect her shadows, and I wanted to play with it, and I wanted to do a review. So yes, go grab this if you haven't already, or if you're looking to grab it, and if it appeals to you, I highly recommend this palette. So there you go. That is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. And also, as for the giveaway, monthly giveaways are still on, and this month I have the Be Perfect Cosmetics Carnival XL Pro palette curated by a UK-based makeup artist called Stacey Marie, and it is a beautiful palette. This is the palette. I have it with me. It's a stunning palette, and it has really beautiful colors. All you gotta do to win that palette is watch any video released in July, watch it to the end, like the video, leave a comment below, whether it's constructive criticism or good, positive criticism, doesn't matter. Leave a comment below, and then hit subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and then you are in to win into the draw. And if you really want to make the case stronger, please feel free to take a screenshot of this video and share it on your Instagram story, and remember to tag me so that I know you've shared, and so that I can thank you as well. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in another exciting YouTube video. Have a good one, guys. Bye for now.